Welcome to T-Rex Gaming, and this is part 2 of 3 of favorite commanders I like to play on a regular basis. This one is Pantlaza, Sun Favored. Legendary creature, 2 and Naya. Whenever Pantlaza or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, discover for X, where X is the creature's toughness. Do this only once each turn. So that's the face commander. It was a precon that I upgraded from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. It was a Ramture deck. The goal of this deck is to find ways to trigger that discover ability multiple times. We'll go through this deck and I'll show you the different creatures, enchantments, sorceries, instants, and lands that I'm using to play this deck. The first card in the 99 is Itali Primal Storm. Whenever he attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. You may cast any number of those spells among those without paying their mana cost. This is really good. Cast this, discover off of the 6 of the toughness there, and then turn around and find a way to give it haste and attack and cast some spells. The next card is Elish Norn, Mother of Machines. She's not a dinosaur, so she's not going to trigger the ability of Pantlaza. She costs 5 mana, and she has vigilance. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes an ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. On top of that, the second paragraph says that her opponent's ETBs will not trigger. So she doubles the discover when it is a dinosaur that comes in off of Pantlaza over here, right? So let's say I had this out, Pantlaza was out, I cast this, I discover for 6, it's an ETB trigger, so it'll trigger the second time for 6. When you're discovering for the mana cost. It says power or the toughness is what you're discovering, the amount is, but you're discovering for something that's equal to or lesser than your toughness there. So technically I could have discovered from Itali into her and cast her for free. The next card is a Rampant Growth, because we always need lands. We search our library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield, tap, and shuffle our library. Our dinosaurs are very expensive, so we need a quick mana boost. Walk with Ancestors, return up to one targeted permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, then discover 4. So this just returns a creature that died that you may want to discover it with later, with a discovery on it. 2 cards there. Let's start with Contested Clause. Target creature deals damage equal to the power to another target creature. If access damage was dealt this way, you discover X, where X is the access damage. Like I said, I've leaned into the discover ability. This is my Dino Discovery deck. I love this deck. It's very powerful. It goes hard. I say high bracket 3, maybe bracket 4. There is an infinite combo in this deck. Farseek. Once again, you go get a plains, island, swamp, or mountain. It does not have to be a basic one. It could be one of your dual lands that say those keywords on it. Then you have Thunderherd Migration. You will have to pay 3 if you don't, or pay 2, pay 1 more if you don't have a dinosaur in your hand. If you do, show it. Otherwise, it costs 1 more to pay. You search your land for a land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Then we have Rhythm of the Wild. Creature spells I cast can't be countered, guaranteeing the discovery will happen. They also have Riot, meaning they can either come in with haste or a 1/1 counter on them. Next, we have a little protection. We have Swords to Plowshares. Exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. I have exiled my own commander to keep it from being trapped. which is fine because I can put it in the command zone, pay 2 more, and get it right back out. Alright, we got Curious Allosaur. It's a Vigilance Reach. Whenever a dinosaur is dealt damage to a player, I get to draw a card. So when my creatures attack and they hit, I get to draw a card for each dinosaur that does that. And then we have Thrashing Bronodon. I could pay 1, sacrifice it, destroy target artifact or enchantment. That's a good way to get out of a jam with someone's enchantments that are keeping you from doing your thing. And then we have Moldering Raptor. Creature spells cost 1 less to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Moldering Raptor will do damage to it. If it's a dinosaur, he gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This is one part of the infinite combo. Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile will be the third piece that you would need. We're looking for the one more piece, and I can show you what it is. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is show you the infinite combo when it shows up. So I'm going to put these cards to the side for now. That way you can see why it could be infinite. Alright, Wayward Swordtooth says Ascend. You may play additional lands on your turn. He can't attack or bless unless you have the City's Blessing, which is having 10 or more permanents on the battlefield. And once you have the City's Blessing, you have it for the rest of the game. Alright, Kinjali's Sunwing. Flying. Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tab. Kind of stops the hastened enablers for your opponents because everything's coming in tapped. We have Earthquaker Dreadmaw. Trample. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. So your goal is to have like 5, 6, maybe 7 dinosaurs out there. Cast him and draw 7 cards. While you could possibly be discovering off of his backside there. A lot of card advantage there. Here's the Path to Exile. Exile target creature, he gets the basic land. The owner goes. So I'm going to put all those over here. And then when I hit that infinite combo, and I can show you how I can stop the infinite with one of those 2 cards, Path or Swords, then you'll see why it could be scary. Alright, we have Azokon Seer. It adds 1 mana of any color. Sacrifice it to return a dinosaur from your graveyard to your hand. He's a human, so he won't trigger Pantlaza, but he will be able to get Pantlaza out of the graveyard. Alright, Raging Raptor. He has Enrage. I love the Enrage mechanic. This one is whenever he is dealt damage, I may search my library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tap. Some of the other ones you'll see will do bigger and better things. Alright, Polyraptor has Enrage. Polyraptor says whenever he's dealt damage, you make a token copy of him. Alright, so Polyraptor, well, let me do this way. With this out there, with the Raptor out there, and then you play Polyraptor, that's an infinite combo. The only way to stop it is to Path to Exile this guy in the back, or you let it go and then you gain that much life with swords, and you have all those Polyraptors. That's how you would stop the infinite combo. And then Regal Behemoth, when he enters, you become the Monarch. Whenever you tap a land while you're the Monarch, it adds additional land of that color. So it doubles your land production while you're the Monarch. Monarch also gets you a free card on your end step. Dino DNA says imprint for 1 and tap. Exile target creature from a graveyard. Activate only as a sorcery. Pay 6. Create a token copy of the creature card. Exile with Dino DNA. Except it is a 6/6 green dino with trample. Activate only as a sorcery. I like to play this. Turn around, imprint Elish Norn when she gets put in the graveyard. That turns her into a dinosaur with her ability, and then you can do the discover that way. It's also a guaranteed discover every turn. Thriving Heath is one of our dual lands. It comes in tapping for white and one other of the chosen color. Then we have unclaimed territory. You choose a creature type. You can tap it for a creature spell or tap it for colorless. The color in the creature spell or colorless. Okay, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards, put them onto the battlefield tap, and the other in your hand. Shuffle your library, scry one. So, Pregation is a ramp spell, but it also fills your hand a little bit. And you get the sneak peek of what's on top. You have Cultivate. You search up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one on the battlefield, one in your hand. Then shuffle. So you see I'm constantly going through this deck. Alright, here's a Migration Path. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Both of them on to the battlefield tap, then shuffle. I can also cycle it. Discard, draw a card. Trumpeting Connoisseur, you have 2 abilities here. You can discard it for 3 and deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or when it enters the battlefield, it'll discover for 5, and if it's the first dinosaur of the turn, Pantlaza will trigger, and you can discover off of the 6 as well. Alright, this one gives all your other dinosaurs haste, and creates you a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. Every other dinosaur will have haste except for him, and that's okay. Then you have Rampaging Ronodon, trample. He gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each land you control. That's only when he's attacking. And he's a 7/7 creature for 7. So I've seen him as big as 25/25. Alright. Gishath, Sun's Avatar. Vigilance, trample, haste. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put any number of dinosaur creatures among them onto the battlefield and the rest of them on the bottom of your library in random order. That's a really good card to refill your board. Alright, Raging Swordtooth. He has trample. When he enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each other creature. Now we have our first basic land in a forest. Mountain. Another forest. There we go. Forest. Monstrous Vortex says whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, discover X, where X is the spell's mana value. Wrathful Raptors has trample. Whenever a dinosaur you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to a target that is not a dinosaur. That includes players. Alright, we have a mountain. Shimmel, the Inner Sun. Spells I control can't be countered. At the beginning of my end step, I discover for 5. A little insurance to make sure you get some of your stuff out. Gurk's Uprising. Whenever it enters the battlefield under your control, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you have trample. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. And then we have Descendant's Path. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card that shares a creature type with a creature you control, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't, put it at the bottom of your library. Free spell at the beginning of your upkeep. Roaming Thrones. It has Ward 2. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. I usually choose Dino. It is a dinosaur in addition to other types. If a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type triggers, it triggers an additional time. This dinosaur, he gives your other creatures flying, another creature you control flying when he attacks. Here's a dual land. It comes into the battlefield tab unless I reveal a mountain or a plains from my hand. There's the plains. Cream of the crop. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the creature's power. If you do, put one of those creatures on top of the library, or one of those cards on top of the library, and the rest at the bottom of your library. So when a creature enters, it's going to trigger some favor and this. I'm going to usually cream of the crop first and then discover. So I'm going to set up my discover. We have a lot of humidity here in Texas right now, and so things are not flowing as smoothly, but it's okay. We have Thriving Grove. It comes in, taps for a green and one other of the chosen color. Arcane Signet. We all know what that does. Bronzebeak Forager. When he enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to one target non-land permanent that player controls until he leaves the battlefield. Pay X in a white. Put target card from with mana value X, exiled with Bronzebeak Forager, into its owner's graveyard, and I gain X life. This is one of my favorite board wipes. It's Awakening Sun's Avatar. It costs 8. It's a creature, dinosaur avatar. Whenever he enters the battlefield, if I cast him from my hand, destroy all non-dinosaur creatures. Alright, we got a Soul Ring. Not bad, not bad. And then we got Creator's Icon. It enters, you choose a creature type, tap for a mana of any color, or you can tap it to give one of your creatures flash. Exotic Orchard. Adds a color of a land that an opponent controls can produce. Plains. That's one of my favorite full art plains. Forest. Cedar Glade. It enters the battlefield tapped unless I control 2 or more lands. Basic lands. Hidden Courtyard. It comes in tapped. I can tap it for a white or pay 4 and a white. Sacrifice it to discover for 4. Activate only as a sorcery. And then we have Secluded Courtyard. It can tap for the color of a creature of the chosen type, or it can tap for colorless. Myriad Landscape. You can tap it for colorless or pay 2, sacrifice it to go get 2 basic land cards that share a land type and put them on the battlefield. Plains. Forest. Mountain. Forest. Quartzwood Crusher. Trample. Whenever one or more creatures with trample deals combat damage to a player, you create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. So if I'm playing in a pot of 4 and I have this out and Gurk Rising's out, that gives everybody trample, and I attack all 3 players, I get 3 XX dinosaurs. Alright, Guardian Project is a card draw piece. It helps me draw a card every time a creature that does not share a creature type enters the battlefield. Alright, Jungle Shrine taps for Naya, or red, green, or a white in the Naya colors. Creator of Sun's Creation. Whenever I discover again for the same value. This ability triggers once each turn. Impact Tremors, especially with this, it goes infinite damage with that combo I was showing you. Terramorphic Expanse, you tap this, crack it to search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. You got Zakoma, Primal Calamity. Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. When he enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. Then it has pay 2 in a red. He does 3 damage to target creature. Pay 2 in a green, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And pay 2 in a white, you gain 3 life. During discovery, up to 3 target creatures you don't control can't block this turn. Discover for 4. Rishkar's Expertise. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast spells with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. A kind of cool way to cheat out a big creature. Then we have Psionic Calamity. He has Myriad. Myriad is when he attacks, you make 2 token copies of it, tapped and attacking the other opponents. When he deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact or enchantment that player controls. We have Ezre's Perdition. For each creature an opponent controls, create a 4/4 green Phyrexian Beast creature token. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures. A little way to catch up and hopefully board wipe some of your opponents. Evolving Wilds, it does the same thing as the other tap, sacrifice land to go get a basic. This makes all my lands that I control basic land types in addition to the other types, so now they can tap for any color. Clifftop Retreat enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain or a plains. Fortified Village, it enters the battlefield. You may reveal a forest or a plains. If not, it enters tapped. Hidden Nursery does the same thing as the white hidden land. It taps for green, and you can pay 5, sacrifice it to discover 4. Rogue's Passage, you can tap it for colorless or pay 4 colorless. A tap, creature can't be blocked this turn. Alright, Hidden Volcano does the red version of the last hidden card. It taps for mountain, and you can pay 5, sacrifice it to discover for 4. Alright, Command Tower. This is a 2-sided command tower. You got this one side that I'm showing you now. You got that side, and then you have a rare this side of it. Now my favorite side is obviously the one with the dinosaur on it, so we're going to put that back in there. These card sleeves and this mat was bought by me, but they're from Dragon Shield. I love them. They match. The background on the cards matches exactly like the mat. We have Akroma's Will. We know what that does. Now that's a powerful card. Then we have a Tali, Primal Conqueror. Now this is a sneaky one, especially with all those doubling effects. That can get out of hand, and it has Infect on the back side of it. So it's a scary card. Then we have Path to Ancestry. It comes in the battlefield tapped, and it taps for any color in your identity. And if it shares a creature type with your commander, you get to scry one. Alright, we have Mosswork Bridge. It's a hideaway land. You put it in the battlefield tab, and you draw top 4 cards of your library. You look at them, and you put one of those 4 underneath this card, and the rest under your library. And you can pay 1 tap. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if the creatures you control have a total power 10 or greater. Alright, Verdant Sun's avatar. When it enters or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness. Thriving Bluff is the red one that taps for red or any color you choose. Canopy Vista is a forest plains. It enters the battlefield tap unless you control 2 or more basic lands. And then we have Apex Allosaur. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. It has enraged. Whenever it is dealt damage, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. This is a quick board wiper. Game Trail. When it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or a forest, otherwise it comes in the battlefield tapped. Forest. Death Gorge Scavenger. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may exile a target card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, I gain 2 life. If it wasn't, I put a 1/1 counter on this creature until end of turn. Then we have Zatopa Primal Dawn. It has flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. It is a 4/8 for 8. That is a big beater. Then you have this guy. He reduces your spells by 1, and you can tap him to give a dinosaur haste. Alright, Ripjaw Raptor. He has enraged. When he is dealt damage, you draw a card. You got Temple Allosaur. If a source would deal damage to a dinosaur you control, prevent all that but 1 of those damages. You got Sunfill Imitator. Whenever he attacks, you may have it become a copy of another target dinosaur, except that it keeps its name and its ability. So I usually make it a Pant Plaza. So I'll have 2 of those out there. And then we have Topiary Stomper. When he enters the battlefield, you go search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. He can't attack unless you have 7 or more lands. That was the Discover Dino deck with Pantlaza at the helm. I will put up the 3rd and final video later this week. Thank you.